I'm Victoria Pearson, but you can call me V. I am still feeling very unwell, but apparently when you have children, you have to feed them every single day, like even if you can't be bothered. So today I am doing the quickest, easiest, simplest midweek meal, no effort whatsoever. Everybody likes it because you can make it how they like it, and you can just make it in advance when you've got a little bit of energy and bung it in the oven later. So that is what I'm going to do right now. So in our house we call these pastry stuffs. That's because they're pastry stuffed with stuff. But I don't think that's what they're really called. So I wouldn't recommend you go to a restaurant or something and ask for pastry stuffs. They might think you're a bit weird. But what you need is some ready roll pastry. This was in a packet, but I took it out to defrost. You can make your own pastry if you fancy like that, but I cannot be asked, so I'm not. You also need some tomato puree if you've got a nice one. Although if you're my 10-year-old, you don't want tomato puree in yours, and that's fine. You also need some grated cheese. I've got some mozzarella and just some cheap cheddar and any other bits that you want in it. I'm putting mushrooms in mine and a bit of ham in the kids because they're not veggies. You can put pepperoni in there. If you're vegan, you can make your cheese into vegan cheese. If you want to add other veggies, peppers, courgettes, whatever you fancy, whatever you've got hanging around, whatever you want in it, because it's your dinner. I am going to start by chopping up the mushrooms. Any mushrooms will do. What have I got today? Close cut mushrooms, just your basics, but literally any will do. I like to chop them quite thin so it doesn't add too much bulk to it. But if you prefer your mushrooms chunkier, chunk away is your dinner. Now, some of you might want to jump into my comments right now and tell me that I shouldn't be using a serrated knife, or I'm using the wrong kind of chopping board and glass chopping boards are bad, or whatever. I don't care. You can tell me if it makes you happy, but it's not going to change my behaviour in any way because, and I can't stress this enough, I actually don't care. So you can just rough cut these. It doesn't have to be perfect. As you can see, none of mine are like really evenly chopped or anything like that. It really doesn't matter. I think that with mushrooms as well, when you fry them, they shrink down so much. So I'm going to use an entire punnet, even though only 3 of us want mushrooms. But that is also because I cannot help myself eating them out of the pan whilst I'm cooking them. I'm going to try not to do that today because I have got a horrible cold and we don't want to infect everybody. But if I'm being really honest with myself, I am going to eat some of these before dinner is ready. I have just popped some margarine in there to melt down for my mushrooms to cook in. You can add chili flakes to it if you like a bit of spice in yours. My husband doesn't, so I am just going to add some garlic powder. If you wanted to, you could add fresh garlic instead. I'm not going to tell you how much to put in because I don't know how much you like garlic. I'm putting about that much in. I like garlic. But if you really love garlic, put more in. If you really don't like it, you don't have to add it at all. It is entirely up to you how you season your food. I'm just going to plop all those in there on top of the margarine and garlic and just leave that pan to come to the heat. And we'll come and sort of stir it around a little bit in a few minutes. But for now, it's perfectly happy just to be left there to sweat out. Now, like I said, you can make your own pastry if you are very smart like that. I am not very smart like that. And the rest of the family isn't feeling great today. So the last thing that I want to do is subject them to my homemade pastry. So I've got some Just Roll. Now you can get that in blocks, but I have got it in these lovely strip things that come looking like a Swiss roll, because then you don't even need to flour the surface. It's already got greaseproof paper on it. It's not going to stick to anything. And I don't even have to roll it out really. It's about the right size for what I need. This should theoretically just, oh yeah, just like that. And this is actually about the sort of size that I want it to make 3. If you're making 4, you could roll it out a little bit. It won't kill it to be a little bit thinner, and I might actually do that just to make it a bit easier to handle. Oh, hair in it, nice. But that's not strictly necessary. I'm just stretching it out a little more. There we go. And then about that sort of sized. We don't have to be super precise with any of these things. And that is the basis of our pastry stuffs. So I am going to start with my youngest's one because his is the simplest, because he doesn't like tomato puree on his, or vegetables in his, or anything like that. He just likes ham and cheese. So I'm going to chop up some ham real quick, which I've just realised that you can't actually see me do. And I'm only going to put my stuff on one end, and I'm making sure that I leave a little gap around here for us to brush with egg to stick it together. I don't know what the vegan equivalent is when you're using pastry, and maybe you can tell me in the comments so that I know for future videos, but I'm sure there is a vegan equivalent, but we're using the egg like more as glue than flavour, so it's not strictly necessary either. It just makes it stick together more easily. But first we're going to finish building it, so we're going to put some ham in there. I'm going to put a little handful of cheese in there. You don't even want any herbs or anything, do you, dude? No chives, nothing like that? Okay. And this is the laziest possible way of doing it as well, because I've even used pre-grated cheese. I need to beat an egg first. So just crack it into the cup, just like that. And give it a good scramble up in there. Now I have actually got a pastry brush because I'm fancy, but if you don't have one of these, then you can just use your fingers to do this. But all we're going to do is take a little bit of the egg and just paint around the edge. Just a little. Just like that. So it acts as a little bit of glue, because then we're going to take this top half and just fold it over like that, and then using a clean fork that we haven't scrambled egg in, although I suppose we're cooking it so it doesn't really matter, but you know, contamination and stuff. So we're going to take that fork and just press it in so that both sides smush together, makes this pretty little edge, and it holds the whole thing together. I don't know if you can see that because of how my arm is. Let me try and, there you go. And then to stop all the steam, sort of like making it all soggy, you want to stab this bit. I'm actually going to prick a letter into that because everybody likes a different type of pastry stuff in here. But just to show you what I mean, it's just a little prick like that, and that's plenty. I'm going to do the rest of the letter off camera because that one's not for me. And my mushrooms are cooking down nicely now. Look, that is an entire punnet of mushrooms, and look how little this has produced. Ridiculous. It's worse than spinach. And obviously I do have to have a little taste just to make sure that I've seasoned it correctly. I will use a different spoon to stir after. As good as it is. Once these are all shaped how you want, you can just slide them off like that, pop them on a greased baking tray, and then just before you put them in the oven, give them another brush over the top with the egg. That's going to make it really golden brown. Right, so that was my little weirdos version, because it doesn't like any of the stuff. This is going to be a much nicer version, I think, because we're going to actually stick the tomato puree in it as well. That's going to balance all my flavours out, and it's going to be kind of like a pizza, but in pastry, I guess. So just put some of that on there, give it a little spread around. Probably didn't need to put it on both sides, may have overdone how much I've put in there, but it doesn't really matter. I like it tomatoey. But again, I'm making sure I'm leaving a little gap around there for my egg. Might not have left a big enough gap in some of the spaces, but we'll see how it goes. So, some mozzarella, some cheddar in there as well. Some mushrooms as well, and this one is for one of the carnists, so we will put some ham in there for him as well, and just around the edges with the egg. Doesn't matter if you make a mess on the grease proof because we're going to chuck that out, we're not going to use it. Sorry for my heavy breathing. I'm not trying to sound like a 90s prank caller. I just can't breathe because of my cold. Fold that up. Bosh, just like that. This was one for an omnivore, but who doesn't like seasoning in there. So I'm going to put some herbs and stuff in mine, like some Italian style herbs in mine. But this one's for my husband. He doesn't like that. So. And this is going to be one of the everything ones. Now, I have actually just rolled it out a little bit more because I thought it looked a tiny bit thin there. But this person's going to have two, so it doesn't really matter. This is an everything one. So we put on some tomato puree. Give that a little spread around. See, I put a bit less on this one, so I think I overdid the first one. Although that will make it sort of nice and moist. Are you one of those people that hates the word moist? See, I'm not bothered by the word moist, but I know it does bother a lot of people. Right, we're going to put some mozzarella in there. Some cheddar in there. This is another omnivore, so we'll put a bit of ham in there too, which I don't love doing with my hands, to be honest. But there we go. And then some Italian seasoning as well. Oh, egg. Nearly forgot my glue then. We glue up the sides with our beaten egg, and I'm still using the same egg from before. You probably do want to use a different egg and brush and everything like that if you've got like a person with an allergy that could be affected by like cross-contamination. Yeah, flip it over, clip it together, and it's done. On this one, I'm going to sprinkle some herbs on top as well, partly to differentiate it from the others so that the person that's eating this one knows it's theirs. Now, one thing that it is quite important to note is I've said that this is very adaptable and you can change it up however you like, which is true. But, see, this fell apart when I tried to unroll it without defrosting first. If you are adding meat to this, you must make sure that it is already cooked meat. So like sandwich, ham or pepperoni that's ready to eat, or already cooked chicken. Don't put raw meat in this because we're going to whack it in the oven. It's going to take about 20 minutes to go golden brown. And that isn't enough time to be cooking chicken and things. Now, I'm having to roll these bits back together because I tried to cook this yesterday, but the pastry was still frozen, and when I went to unroll it, it all just cracked up. And so this messy one's probably going to end up being mine, but I'm just going to try and sort of stick it back together by rolling it back together and hoping for the best. It'll be fine. It'll taste okay anyway. So exactly the same for these three. The only difference is that one of these will not have ham in it because I'm vegetarian. So you've seen how to do it. I'll show you one more time. I'm going to cut our pastry to about the size that we want it. And again, it doesn't have to be super precise. Although it does help if you cut all the way through the pastry and not just tickle it on the top like I just did there. Now this one is going to be a bit messy, but that's fine because I'll just make that my one. So we've got two more omnivore ones and a vegetarian one to do. And because this one's a little bit small, I might put my egg on before I start adding my toppings just to make it a little bit easier. Because I am running out of day. I'm trying to do this bit a bit quicker. And again, it's still the same egg. If some vegetarians might get upset because the brush did go into the same egg as was doing it around the ham, but I don't actually think it touched anything, and I'm the vegetarian, so I don't care. I'm too poorly to care about much today, as evidenced by the amount of times I have said in this video I don't care. Thought I was filming, but I was not. Oops. You can see what I've done. I've just added the tomato puree and the egg on there. Some mozzarella on those. Some cheddar. Oh, I'm going to have to put extra mushrooms on some of these because I forgot to put them in the last one. They won't notice. Mushrooms. Mushrooms. Lots of mushrooms for my one because I'm not bulking it out with ham or anything like that. I'll put a few more mushrooms on these guys because I'm pretty sure I forgot to put mushrooms in my other ones. Might have overfilled these. Never mind. And so some ham in these because they are for the omnivores. But none of that one sounds for me. So I'm going to crimp these two and then wash my hands before doing my own one. Because although I don't care that much about cross-contamination, I don't really want ham flavour in mine. Oh, I forgot to put herbs in the other one as well. We'll go back and do that. There we go. Seal them together with the fork, just like we did before. I suppose technically this is a pie, isn't it? But it's kind of pizza flavoured, but that's not what pizza pie is. So I don't know what you'd call this, so that's why we call it pastry stuffs. And then this last one, which is kind of messy, is for me. So it doesn't really matter if it's messy, I suppose. I'll just fold them ones over as well. And then it doesn't look that messy, does it? I don't think it really matters that much. My one is splitting because I overfilled it with the mushrooms. But that's fine. It will let some of the steam out and be okay. Ta-da! And that's it done. Brush it over with a bit more egg so it'll go nice and golden brown. Whack it in the oven on about 200-ish for about 20 minutes-ish until it looks golden brown and it's ready to eat. We sometimes have it with chips, but we sometimes have it with salad, and we sometimes have it with nothing at all, which is probably what we're going to do today. Ta-da! I hope that gave you a quick, easy midweek meal idea. Join me on Monday for my next vlog. Not sure what I'm vlogging about yet. We're just letting the fates decide, but I will be here Monday morning, 6 AM UK time, talking about something. And if you can't wait until then to see me again, I will also be here every single morning in your shorts, taking a great big deep breath, even when I am absolutely dying of a cold. And I'll also be here on a Witchy Wednesday doing an intuitive tarot card read for you as well. I'll see you on Monday, but until then, you have yourself a magical week.